Hello, welcome to the Thursday Road Gateway Rotary meeting. Thank you, Dr. Prince Murray, for being our leader. Jenny Jackson is going to do the pledge and the inspiration.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Get ahead of myself. Of the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? And fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? So for inspiration, I went to a training this Saturday with Valerie and some of our other president nominees. And it was very informative. I learned a lot. Of course, I always love doing these things with Rotary. And one of the really neat things is in my training of president nominee, the district governor that will be, so he's a district governor nominee, said, well, you know, you might have these problems and this is how you can handle it. And you might have these problems and this is how you can handle it. And this club is so wonderful that I was like, no, I'm not going to have a lot of those problems because everybody's so supportive and kind and wonderful and engaged. So that's my personal inspiration, which led me to this quote that I looked up about community. Community is much more than belonging to something. It's about doing something together that makes belonging matter. That was Brian Solis, a digital analyst and principal at Rotary. Which doesn't sound very cool. I almost went with Greta Scott King, who's a much cooler lady, but I really like the message behind it. I love being a part of this club. You all inspire me, so that is my inspiration for the day. Yeah.
Dan, you're just so shy. Okay, do we have any visiting Rotarians? Okay, Rotarians with guests. Anyone have any guests? Can you want to introduce our guests? Yeah, I've got a couple of guests. Right.
So I have a couple guests. I have my wife Jennifer here, and I'm doing this before she puts the hamburger in her bowl. So. And
Evan Lindahl.
Yeah, so
He's a dad at Grants Pass High School visiting today.
So big kid meeting.
Thank you. Okay, and Lisa. We have our visitors from the Illinois Valley. We're happy to have you.
Today it is my pleasure to introduce our Service Above Self Award winner from Illinois Valley High School, Cameron Chenault, his parents Sarah and Michael, and then the principal, Mr. Loza.
We'll get right back up here in a minute. Okay, Lynn, I want you to wave at everybody. She wasn't here last week, but we want to make clear Lynn's daughter is a slugger on the North Valley softball team. And she was in the newspaper and she plays catcher, so we're all going to be supported. Well done. Okay, let's see. Do you have any announcements? If you just want to come up and.
This is to remind you again about the social gathering at the weekend brewery on the 24th. Okay, 5:30.
Thank you. All right, everybody, thank you. Last week who signed up to help the Interact group out at North Valley. Those of you who purchased the Wagyu hamburger, I brought it today. It's in their freezer. Thank you. So let me do that. So come see me afterwards and I'll get it to you. Sign up for more.
I just wanted to remind people that the green bag program, and of course we know what's going on with a lot of food banks are having more and more problems. There's more food insecurity going on. I know a lot of them give, as I do on a monthly basis, but we can just bring in any groceries anytime. You don't have to take a bag. You can go to the store and just pick up the groceries and put it back there. I was kind of out for a few weeks, so I wasn't here to pick it up and get it there. But about every 3 months, they have a pickup, and I know exactly where to take it. so that you don't have to worry about driving out of the food bank, you don't have to worry about doing anything, just put it on the back table. And I will make sure that it gets to where it needs to be to do that. So that's just another simple way to help. So I am making an announcement for Bobby Kidder. Most of you know Bobby. She was a former member of our club and one of the greatest teachers I've ever had and my favorite mentor. She has a workshop coming up in about a little less than 2 weeks. Steve Rowe was kind enough to put the QR code and the way to register for that workshop. It's going to be on Saturday, the 26th. So it's coming up a week from this Saturday. And in Bobby's beautiful way of doing things, it is a workshop that's focused on building peace and community through communication, some of her drama therapy work that she does. There is a cost for it, but it just sounds like it's really right down our alley, with peace being one of our main pillars of what we do. And of course, any time with Bobby was spent wonderfully. So I will be there. I do know that you can register through that QR link through our navigator code. And if you have any more questions, just reach out, let me know. I'd be happy to tell you more about it because I'm sure it's going to be amazing.
Just a quick announcement, you're gonna get tired of me, but it's a month away now for our great event, Western Night, on Friday, May the 16th. We'll be probably contacting all of you for one request or another. But one thing I was thinking, if there is someone who doesn't plan to attend that night but would like to help, you can come in the morning, May 16th, and help us set up. So that's one thing. And keep those jars coming in. We went Tuesday to the IV Club. They're collaborating with us. And we ended up with how many more jars? Lots, but we need lots. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you. Now we're going to have Lisa come on up and walk us through our service above self winner.
Today is our funnest meeting, I think, when we have a student from our local high school. Today it's the Illinois Valley. I always have fun with that. And he is going to tell us about himself, and his principal is going to come up here and introduce him. But his bio is in the navigator. And the first thing that caught my eye was under hobbies is baking. I thought, how cool is that? So we'll have to have him tell us about that. So Mr. Latham and Karen.
All right, as Cameron makes his way up here, I first just want to say thank you to the Rotary Club and for honoring our students out at Illinois Valley. We have a fine one here today. It's my privilege to introduce to you Cameron Chenault. He is so it's for those of you who may not know my story, is I've been in the area for a while and I've actually been at North Valley for many, many years as the principal out there. And this year I got to have the privilege of being able to move out to Illinois Valley. And one of the first things that I noticed when I went out there was this young man. It was, I think in October, maybe it was September. We were at a Rotary event together, and it was my first introduction to him. I met the mother as well, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is a young man that is so impressive, as he shared. And you probably talked a little bit about that and what he did with Rotary last summer. But I was like, man, this kid is phenomenal. And then I've been able to watch him over the course of his senior year. And when this award came up, or the service above self, and I thought to myself, and we had a team that gathered together, and we were going through a lot of our students. As I looked at his resume, I was like, oh my, this is the kind of person that I want my sons to be, that my son to become, that somebody that truly does think about others, that passes that 4-way test behind us that you're very familiar with. And above all, it's just kind. He walks through our halls. He's an inspiration to the students that are there. He's an inspiration to the staff. And in a world that sometimes can be short on kindness, this young man is not short on it at all. He is a genuine individual who truly does put service above self. And it's my privilege to introduce to you and let him talk a little bit about all the things he's done at school. And I hope he tells you some of the cool things he does in our community and his future plans. Cameron Chanel.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cameron Chanel, and first of all, I'd like to start by thanking you all for the award. It is absolutely great. I honestly wasn't expecting to be here today. And most of all, I'd like to thank Rotary, first of all, for giving me the opportunity for this and giving me opportunities such as Camp Ryla. So last year, they sent me to Camp Ryla. That was sort of my first interaction with the Rotary, and it was one of the best things I've ever done. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about being a leader and being able to communicate with others emotionally and be able to overcome challenges. And I'm truly grateful for that. So throughout my community, I have interacted and completed many volunteer activities. I have, over the past 4 years, every once in a while, over the past 4 years, I have gone to the senior center and I have served breakfast to everyone there. And since the past year, I have been attending every Saturday afternoon. I've been attending a group meeting with some senior veterans that I met through my work at Chevron. And I have been learning from them and just spending time with them every Saturday afternoon. And I'm grateful for that because they've taught me a lot. They've honestly told me about how sometimes they regret not focusing more on their schooling. And they just give me advice every day. And I'm thankful for that. I've done multiple cleanups at our local cemetery, and I've also done fundraising for both school events and athletic events. Sorry. Thank you. So after high school, I plan to attend OIT as I've already been accepted. And I plan to major in biology. So that way I can get my requisite to move on to a graduate school before gaining my doctorate and attending a 3-year in-house residency so that I may become a radiologist. And I decided to become a radiologist after different experiences in my life, after seeing my grandmother and my grandfather get very, very ill. And also after my mother was recently in a car crash. Thankfully, she made it out or everyone in the accident made it out with very minor injuries, and I am thankful for that. But I spoke with the radiologist that she met with that day, and it kind of made me realize that that's kind of what I want to do in life. I want to be able to help people. And so I plan to continue giving to my community. I have been in contact with Robbie from the Camp Ryla staff, and I plan to go back this summer, hopefully, and become a staff member at Camp Ryla. And so once again, I'd just like to thank the Rotary for this award. I'd like to thank my parents for raising me to be the man I am today. And I'd like to thank my teachers for guiding me throughout my school career and helping me academically. Thank you all.
So that was great, and he's getting a whole bunch of gifts and loot and so forth. He's getting a check for $750. And we're thrilled that we were able to sponsor him for Ryla, and maybe he'll go again this year. But really, Mom and Dad, you should be getting the award. You have raised a boy who is kind and a boy who can bake. And I'll tell you, I'm single, and these are two of the things that I really think, a guy who's kind who can bake, so, well done. But very seriously, well done. I love that you're crying, it's wonderful. Okay. Where are we? We got up that way. Okay, we'd like to welcome our speaker now, and I think Doug Walker's gonna introduce it.
It is my pleasure to introduce Mike McLaughlin. He is Firewise Coordinator for the county. I'm going to read a little bit about his bio. Josephine County Firewise Community Coordinator. He's had 38 years, almost 40 years of experience in the fire service across California and Oregon, and 2 years dedicated to the Firewise USA. Michael brings a wealth of knowledge and passion to this role. He's committed to educating constituents on the importance of fuel mitigation and actively promotes Firewise principles to help communities become more resilient. And he's going to talk a bit about the county's efforts, which I think the bulk of his effort is probably in the urban-rural interface in the more wooded areas. Although quite a few of us live in town, and I'm sure he'll be able to talk a little bit about how you can have harden off your own houses in town in that medium space that we're in. So Michael, welcome. Come on up. Right away or later?
Just in a quick minute. Okay. I actually want to come back on a different day because I can't follow that. That's amazing. And Jenny, I've been waiting to get up on the stage, so we'll see where it goes from there. Anyhow, my name's Mike McLaughlin. I am the Firewise Coordinator for Josephine County. I do both the city of Grants Pass and the county as a whole. Last year, we lost the Grants Pass person doing the Firewise through a budget cut that the county had to make because I am funded through Title III federal funds. And the funding was going to expire as of March of this year. And because of some people and higher than my level decided they wanted to keep the program going in the county, we eliminated that position and they gave me the whole entire county. So, I'm sorry?
Lucky you.
Yeah, lucky me, that's right. So we're gonna watch about a 13.5-minute video. And I always start my Firewise communities when people come and ask about joining a Firewise community. And I get upwards of 10 or 15 neighbors wanting to develop one, and we'll get into that here in just a little bit. But I play this video because I think it's very moving and it's very educational. And I'm pretty certain at least 2 of you in this room will take something away from this short video. If you don't, please let me know so I can get rid of the video and find a better one. With that said, we're going to try and launch this. We're having some difficulties, but with the computer geniuses in the room, I think we fixed it. Let's see. Jenny, can I sit on the stool just so I can get that forward?
Disasters are inevitable as well. No. We have great opportunities as homeowners to prevent our houses from igniting.
People. Our issue with the sound.
My mom taught me how to be a public speaker, so I'm going to try to follow that. It looks like we're having some difficulties. As soon as they get that up and running, we'll jump into that video hopefully before my time is up, which I have 25 minutes to speak. So I'm going to do my
during wilds to our house and its immediate surroundings in order to reduce the ignition potential of that house. I'm going to do an assessment on this house for its ignition vulnerabilities. The assessment is what all of us homeowners can do. Currently, we're not in fire season, but it's getting hot and it's getting dry, so this is a perfect time before the smoke's in the air to do this assessment. The great opportunity we have as homeowners is that we can do the little things around our house to keep our home from igniting. We can actually separate our house from the extreme wildfire. We don't have to rely on the control of the extreme wildfire in order to keep our house from burning down. Over the last 30 years, my colleagues and I have done research involving laboratory experiments, field experiments, and post-fire disaster assessments to quantify and qualify the relationship between a wildfire and a destroyed home. What we found is that the high-intensity flames, more than 100 feet away from the house, are largely incapable of igniting the house directly. But it's the little things that seem to be destroying the houses. The burning embers, we call them firebrands, lofted out of the high-intensity wildfire to land in the community, sometimes directly on houses as well as the surroundings. It's not 100-foot flames, it's a pile of firebrands that would fit in the palm of our hand. So my colleagues and I designed a firebrand, an ember shower demonstration. We have a full-size house. It's got bark mulch and pine needles around the base. It's got pine needles in the rain gutters. It's got pine needles on the roof. We have an ember generator that then casts a brand blizzard at this house. In order for those firebrands to be effective in igniting the house, they either have to ignite the house directly, or they have to ignite something around the house that then can spread to the house. The main factors determining this home's ignition potential are right here. The home's characteristics related to its immediate surroundings. For our assessment, our perspective changes to this house being one of fuel for the potential ignition. Look around your house and see where the litter, the leaves, and the needles have piled up, and visualize that that's going to be where firebrands begin to pile up and collect. So here we have pine needle litter right up next to the house. It's on the steps. It could ignite and start this wall and step area on fire. It also can ignite on this lathing, which is right up underneath the wood shingle siding, and ignite that. This doesn't burn with high intensities. It burns with low intensities, but it's extremely important. In fact, on this house, it easily could be the critical factor that leads to its total destruction. If this house had rain gutters, this litter would be in the rain gutters, potentially igniting and putting flame right up at the eave line, potentially igniting the roof and going into the attic. On this side of the house, what our attention should be on is this gable vent. It's the most exposed kind of vent. I noticed that it's got fine mesh screen, which certainly helps keep large firebrands from going into the attic and potentially igniting this house. One of the things we looked at were vents during the brand blizzard. The brands are directly impacting that vent opening. The burning brands can blow right into the attic and potentially ignite the material that's in the attic. The remedy is simple. All we have to do is use finer mesh screen to cover the openings. One of the important aspects that we demonstrated was that you don't have to have a metal roof in order to keep the house from igniting from firebrands. What we showed was that any roof that doesn't ignite and spread fire can survive the brand blizzard. So as we previously demonstrated, composition shingle roofs with pine needles on them don't represent a significant ignition problem. But look here, we've got a wood-sided wall coming down to the top of the roof where this needle deposition, when it ignites, is going to put flame contact right on the side of the wood wall. This results in flame contact and high ignition potential, resulting in the destruction of this house. The house includes more than just itself if there are outbuildings that are close enough to ignite and spread to the house. So maybe we have a shed or we've got a chicken coop, which then can burn long enough to ignite the shed that's next to that, which then ignites and burns sufficiently in order to ignite the house. So we need to be as concerned about the surroundings of our outbuildings and their condition as we do our house.
I looked into landscaping, I looked into fireproof home building, I looked into fireproof lawn furniture. I mean, I was going for everything that I could for the safest fire safety you could. And we had a checklist. No firewood stacked next to the house. All of our lawn furniture was fire rated. I wanted to feel like if there was a fire, we had the absolute best chance possible of us and our house surviving.
So some of the little things that begin to get a house during an extreme wildfire from the firebrands are, for example, something as simple as a broom being left out. Flammable deck furniture, where we've got flammable cushions on the furniture on the deck next to the house. The cushions ignite from the firebrands. They ignite the deck railing, which is connected to the house.
We put 3 foot of rock siding all the way around up the house, as well as in our landscaping 3 feet out of crushed rock. We talked to people, all it took was one thing, a firewood stacked in the wrong place, or lawn furniture caught fire on their porch. One tiny little technique that wasn't followed.
Well, knowledge is key. The more you know, the more you can increase your chances, and not always does that have to cost money, right? It's just knowledge. It's still a shock to go through a fire, but to come back and see your home, right? That's such a good feeling.
Flame contact on the house is a really bad idea. So what we want to make sure of is that we don't get flame contact on the house. We don't have a fire burning across pine needle litter, for example, and making direct contact with the house. But that only takes 5 feet around the house in order to keep the flames away. Let's take a look at the surrounding area of the house. Adjacent to this wood wall, we've got these green shrubs. So the question is, are these green shrubs a big problem and do they have to be removed? Well, as long as we've got green foliage without dead material, we're pretty good. But if we take a look, we've got dead material in the canopy and we've got dead material deposited under the wood wall. What we want to do to keep the shrubs is to prune out all the dead material within the canopy as well as underneath in order to keep the wall and the shrubs from igniting. So we don't need to put out all the fires. We don't need to make sure that no fire occurs within the neighborhood. We do need to make sure that there isn't high intensity fire within 100 feet. And we want to make sure that surface fire doesn't come directly to the house and ignite it. We definitely can't have a flammable wood roof on our house. It's the most susceptible to firebrand ignitions. But there are many things that occur on a seasonal basis. Cleaning up the litter around the base of the house, out of the rain gutters, making sure that we've swept the deck of pine needle litter and leaves, and making sure that our firewood piles aren't on the deck, and making sure that we've cut the grass and not having things right up next to the house that can burn. We've just taken a look at this home, but it's obvious that every home and every property are going to be different. That's why it's very important for us to seek information so that we can find the vulnerabilities to ignition of our own homes. Remember, if your home doesn't ignite, it doesn't burn. You've got to act now to address these little things long before the fire ever starts.
So by raise of hands, did anybody learn anything? Yeah. So we live in a unique area here in Southern Oregon, and we are very, very fire prone and can have the potential of having a large fire. We have seen that over the years, as far back as how many of you have been here and remember the Biscuit Fire, right? Yeah. And then it progressed, and we had a few local fires, the Taylor Creek Fire, some down in the Illinois Valley, some significant fires down there, especially coming out of California. That darn sea state keeps delivering us these wildfires. As the Applegate Fire Chief back in 2018, I got to experience that firsthand when we had a fire come out of California. It ended up burning 64,000 acres. And I was new as the new fire chief, and the constituents there were, "Chief, you got to put it out." I said, "No, that's above my pay grade, let alone our resources." My point being, we have great firefighting resources. We just don't have enough here in Southern Oregon. And I don't know if we ever will. Between Oregon Department of Forestry, BLM, U.S. Forest Service, City of Grants Pass, all our rural fire districts, they do an outstanding job. But there's three things that drive a wildfire. We have topography, we have weather, and we have fuels. And the one thing that we can control is the fuels. And we can control those fuels, just like you said, around the property. So I'm gonna read this because it just resonates with me. The National Firewise USA Recognition Program provides a collaborative framework to help neighbors in a geographic area get organized, find direction, and take action to increase the ignition resistance of their homes and community, and to reduce wildfire risks at the local level. Any community that meets a set of voluntary criteria on an annual basis and retains an in good standing status may identify themselves as being a Firewise site. And Firewise USA is a nationally recognized program. So what do? I do two things. I build out neighborhoods. In order to be in a Firewise community, we have to have a minimum of 8 homes. They don't necessarily need to be side by side. They can be separated by a tax lot in between, but I can't have that tax lot be 100 acres or a half a mile down the road because it defeats the purpose of the program. The other thing that I do is, just like Jack Cohn was talking about up there on the screen, is I do those home assessments. The key to all of this, remember I said at the very beginning, this is a grant funded position. So my services are free. So it doesn't cost you anything to have me come out. An assessment takes upwards of an hour, hour and a half at the latest, because I can't sit there all day because I'm so booked right now on assessments. But it's great that we're really starting to jumpstart this program. But I'll come out, I'll do a home assessment, I'll leave you with a document that will dictate what you should do. All of those steps are recommended through Firewise USA, through that gentleman, Jack Cohn. Give you just a quick history about Jack. So Jack worked for the U.S. Forest Service. We all saw up on the screen, if you recall, he was talking to a gentleman with a white hat on. It said 2003 fire, California. So that was the old fire. I was actually on that fire. And I got to listen to him after we were going through the critique of what we could have done better. Anyhow, Jack, when he started this concept early about the firebrands igniting homes and not the flames, he went to the U.S. Forest Service and asked for a 4 square mile plot of land to burn down. And you saw early in the video, kind of looked like some mannequins on some posts and a little house in the forest burning in the background. Well, he asked the Forest Service to do that, and the United States Forest Service said no. So he called up Canada, and Canada said, absolutely, come on up, let's burn down our forest. To prove his point. And from there it morphed. Firewise started in mid-90s. California had their first $1 million wildland fire. That's not very long ago, so that was in the 90s. It morphed where NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, took it over. And that was in 2002. And then the U.S. Forest Service became a sponsor for NFPA to make this program nationally and to make it work. I truly believe in it, as my bio kind of said, after being in the fire service for 38 years and suppressing fires. Now I'm on the other side of preventing homes from burning down. It's a great free service, an hour and a half of your time max. And I can tell you, I've even been to retired firefighters' houses, and they're like, "Yeah, my house is great." Yeah, okay, well, that's perfect. I appreciate that. But when I get there and I start pointing this stuff out, they're like, "No, I never thought about that." But even worse, I'll go to retired police officers. Sorry. And they will start telling me how to fight fire, and I love every minute of it. It's perfect, because I sure in heck don't want to be toting a gun and running into a building with somebody who I don't even know is in there with another firearm. So thank you for your service. I appreciate that. Was that okay, Jenny? I got some laughs. Should I work for some more? Jenny's engaged. Deep. So I'm going to open it up to questions. That's what I do. I go around, I do home assessments, I build out communities. Currently, the amount of communities we have in Josephine County is 30. Last year, we launched our first community down in the Illinois Valley in Cave Junction. I am currently building, we just got done and launched a community in Tacoma. And we are in the process of launching a 26 home community off of Deer Creek in Selma. So that's the first time in the history of this program, has been going on since 2012, that we were able to engage at that end of our valley. So we're pretty pleased with that. So with that said, I'm going to take questions. Here comes the mic. I'll do my best.
Is your video available on a website?
Oh.
I need to make sure that my wife realizes she's got a lot of work to do.
You know what? Amen, brother. Amen. Amen. You ought to see my honey-do list. It's this long after I showed that video. So yes, to answer your question, if you go to the Josephine County website, go to departments, click on emergency management on the left-hand column. Sorry, I should have had maybe a diagram for this. On the left-hand column, you'll see Firewise. Click on that. And then there's 3 videos. This video is the 3rd video in line. And then there's a whole thing about our program, what we do, how to get in contact with me. All the information is on there. Good. Yes.
So we've had several different people come out. I live out on Jump Off Joe, and we're definitely in a treat area. Do we need to have you come also? I mean, we had somebody there last year that said, "Man, you have to take out all these trees." I know they're my bushes that I've grown for 20 years. So he told me I had to have them be at least 12 or 18 inches from the house, which I can do that. That I can do. I'm not taking those camellias and wisterias out. I don't have this much time. So.
But you have to be in an active community, so that takes a minimum of 8 homes in your neighborhood. And we do have a lot of Firewise communities in the city. Our largest one is up on Forest Hills. That is our largest community, almost 74 homes in that one. So that's a benefit. What we are seeing trending wise, and I'm trying to wrap this up quickly, I can talk about this for hours, but what we're seeing trending wise right now, California is in the lead. They're forcing insurance companies to adopt Firewise USA programming. And if you're in a Firewise program, then hopefully in the future, we will start to see insurance companies acknowledge that and give you some kind of benefit. Currently, our legislation, I've been working with a couple representatives trying to get that to be language in our state. Aside from Senate Bill 82, And for insurance purposes, please look up Senate Bill 82, because that will walk you through what the insurance companies truly have to do legally in our state to either drop you, increase your rates, so on and so forth. I have been seeing this increase and drop of trend occurring since about 2001 in California. I moved here in 2015, so about 14 years I experienced it. Already knew it was taking place in Washington, and in 2019, all the fire agencies in Josephine and Jackson County got together, all the fire chiefs, and we had a presentation put on by the insurance companies. They told us it's coming, and we knew it was, just didn't know how quickly it was, and they couldn't tell us how quickly it was happening. So there are benefits to creating a community. There may be future benefits that are huge. It doesn't cost anything. That's the whole thing about joining the community. It's all your own volunteer time working on mitigating your homes. The minimum requirement to be in a Firewise community per home is 1 hour work a year. How many of you rake up leaves or prune your plants in the springtime? Right? Just about everybody in this room. So that's your 1 hour. Now, I will say, people who get involved with my enthusiasm, kidding, we move forward and we get everybody, and all of a sudden it starts ramping up. Forest Hills, they do bake sales, they do community-wide yard sales, and all those funds go to getting people out to their area to help mitigate their fuels. There are some grant money still. Not sure what Doge is going to do with that grant money. I'm not going to get political, but there is some grant funding out there that helps with fuel mitigation work. Hopefully in the future, this county will have some additional funding to help with fuel mitigation work through the Firewise programming. But we are currently, I submitted an application for a grant for that. So hopefully we're awarded that in the future. So next question. And one right here. Doug.
So, either is there a site we can look at or some information, or can you just kind of tick off like first priority, 5 feet around the house, second priority, third priority?
Yes. So on the table, there's all these pamphlets I left with, and some have my business card. Sorry, I didn't have enough business cards. I ran out. But if you open that up in there, that's a trifold, turns out to be a poster that will identify the 3 zones. The first zone is the immediate zone. That's the 0 to 5 feet. That is your biggest bang for your buck, as Jack mentioned in the video. The next zone is the intermediate zone. That's 5 to 30 feet away from the house. And then we have the extended zone, 30 to 100 feet out. All of the numbers are coordinated, color coded on the whole entire document. Will you mind being my banner? All right, so letter A. All right, so everything's color coded. Red identifies the red numbers. Fold that page back on. And here we have the orange and green, and then we have some other considerations for you to take in if you are serious about moving forward with this. Again, do you need to replace your siding on your house if it's combustible siding? No. But can you mitigate the fuels around your house? Absolutely. Do you have that Himalayan blackberry bush that just happened to grow a couple years ago and now it's 7 feet tall in the corner of your home? It's time to get rid of that. It's time to remove that because that is extremely flammable. Think of it this way. Anything that has a waxy surface when you touch the leaf or has an aroma when you break the leaf is extremely flammable. So take that in consideration. So we want to look at that. On the county website, at the very bottom of my webpage, it says, I believe it says see more. No, you might be able to pull that up real quick. Absolutely. It says more Firewise with its info, or it says Firewise USA. Click on that. There's all the way down to the bottom. There is the last 2 icons. Those are a 80-page, I can't remember off the top of my head, 50 or 80-page document that OSU put on about non-flammable vegetation, pollinators, and deer-resistant plants. So there's ground covers. Yep. Scroll down on the left-hand side here. Keep going. Oh, we're already there, all the way to the bottom. This is the website, 3 videos. There's a video you just watched. Keep going down all the way to the bottom. And then we're gonna wrap this up. Okay, right there, Firewise USA, click on that. At the very bottom, keep going down, click on the second one from the bottom. So you get an idea. Okay, there you go. So this will walk you through all of that. It's a great document. There's over 590 plant species in that document that will help you get through it. So with that said, thank you everybody for your time. I went 4.5 minutes over my 25 minutes, but 13.5, that was a video, so I'm still good.
That was great. And I want you to know, Mike, this is a very unruly crowd, and you have their complete attention with the exception of Lutz. Who was just taking notes on what he has to get his wife Lisa to do. Okay, really, really interesting. I think you're gonna get some customers, and I certainly learned a lot. And you're an excellent speaker. Really enjoyed that. Okay, Sergeant Dawn, come on up.
Okay, we probably need to make this quick. I have a question. My subject is peeps. Are they flammable? Peeps, little peeps. So don't put these around the outside of your house. Keep them 10 feet away. Okay, really quickly, I'll give you some peeps facts because when it's Easter, I mean, they're just the best, right? But first, the question. When were peeps first created? Person who gets closest wins this. Okay, come on. Who said 1950? All right, you're close, Bev. You get the peeps. Just don't put them by your house. Okay, so it was 1953. And it was purchased by a company called Just Born, and still they're making them. What are the common shapes? Chicks and rabbits, right? But they've expanded now to other holiday themed peeps. You can get Halloween peeps, you can get Christmas peeps. Okay, how many peeps are made per day during this season? Amazing. 5.5 million peeps are made per day. Originally, it took 1 day to make them. There are 40 different flavors and varieties. Bev, I think you have the bubblegum flavor. Yes, yes. And how many calories in a peep? How many can you eat? 28 calories. Okay. Each spring, how many peeps are eaten? 1.5 billion peeps. And in that 1.5 billion peeps, if you put them end to end, they could circle the earth 2 times. It's just making me really excited. Okay, for every 1 bunny sold, 4 chicks are sold. You can get a Peepalicious cookbook, and I happen to know that one great thing is you can make Peeps sushi, a tray of Peeps sushi. Okay, and then finally, this one I like for entertainment. Take 2 peeps, put little toothpicks in each one of them, stick them in your microwave and turn it on and watch them fight with each other. Okay. With that, let's have some happy bucks about Easter. Okay, or it doesn't have to be Easter. Go, Jeannie.
I have a few happy bucks first for our program today, because that was amazing. This year is so helpful, and I'll definitely be calling you to ask you to come look at my house and talking to my neighbors about becoming a community. And then my next happy buck is for Greg right here, because look what he brought you guys. He's gonna be our new Porch Fest sponsor. And he brought it $1,000.
Just a reminder, Bruce has got, you saw there's still cards for sale.
All right, while you're doing that, I will say here, I'm gonna give $10, and I'm going to do it because here is my Easter story. When boys were little, we put out the eggs, hid them in the yard. And when the boys went out to try and find them, we couldn't find any of them, and we had hidden them. The dog ate all the eggs, including the shells. Okay, more happy bugs.
I've got a couple of happy bucks for Bruce, who is fulfilling his last little checkoff for his blue badge, and he's doing a hell of a job.
Hold them all.
5 happy bucks, and it ties into our program. Since March the 1st, I've had a crew of 6 youth from the Northwest Youth Corps, and they are going around the neighborhood. They've all been trained in fire mitigation around homes, and they have been going around all of the riverbanks area doing fire mitigation. They have a chipper, they all have weed eaters and chainsaws, and I have had the honor of them living in our cabins and using our clubhouse, and they've been delightful, and they are doing such wonderful things in our community. I would like to just add this to the Firewise thing, because it's I'm involved with our Firewise and have been for some time, but this is a wonderful thing, and I want to make sure that we fight for the funding, because I think that's some of the best money I've seen happen. Not only is this good for our communities and being fire safe, but it is doing wonderful things for these kids. They're learning some amazing life skills, and it's been a pleasure. So let's keep on keeping on our fire mitigation.
About bark around houses.
Oh, perfect. Okay, so.
It's a no-go. I hate to say that because a lot of us have it. If you came to my house right now, I'm in a battle with my wife. Granted, it's not up against the house, but it's right up against the deck. And so if you go to Ashland Fire and you type in bark test on the YouTube, they did a test right after the Alameda fire. In the middle of the night, 2:30 in the morning, I lost 16 homes in that Alameda fire in my division because of bark right up against the house. And it was a small knit group. I can get into all the details, but the bark is what contributed to the loss of those homes. When we had the 40-mile-an-hour winds and they had the big chunky bark, they didn't have the fine dust bark. So bark's not a good thing. If you have bark around your house, think about replacing it. One of the cheapest things to do is decomposed granite versus just the big river rock. But you can get sales and deals on the river rock here in the valley as well. But if you have to have bark, please go with the fine dust bark. Don't go with the rubber mulch. Just go with the fine dust mulch bark material. Because at least that flame is only this big versus those big chunks of bark and everything else that lands in there. Great question. Thank you.
Really amazing information. I just want to give my happy bucks for this wonderful family over here. Anytime one of the students talks to our hearts like that, it's just so appreciative. So thank you. And happy bucks. This is only one serving, or I would share. Sorry, guys.
Anyone?
Well, I have 10 happy bucks. One, because I'm still here. But we'll be going soon, but you never know. It's not up to us. But I have a funny Easter story. So I would do Easter egg hunts because I have daycare when my kids were growing up. And so one year, my son, who was 17 at the time, and a really kind gentleman, but probably a little more mischievous than you. He decided, he found this Easter bunny costume, I have no idea where. And he shows up as an Easter bunny, and it's a huge costume with this huge head. And he's walking into the garden and he's like, hi kids, and with this, he trips, goes flying across the yard, his head falls out, and all the kids were completely traumatized.
Okay. All right, we probably ought to draw the winning card now. Where, okay, it's right here. And we'll have our Firewise Mike do it. Yeah.
Congratulations, Leonard. Well, thank you everyone for a great meeting. We're wrapping it up. We'll see you next Thursday. The thought for the day, this is from Mark Twain. Travel is fatal to prejudice. Thanks, everyone. See you next week.
I just want to say about that. Okay, thank you. You would be proud of me, I'm sure you all kinds of criticism. But I was the end of level 3 for a